Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LODcast. I couldn't tell you what episode this is. I really don't pay attention to that. But yeah, we got the Tribunal again. So it's just gonna be me, Scribe, and Kuyo. And for those who don't know who me is, I'm the Big E15. Hi. Well, we don't have a guest to show, so we're gonna just hop right into the content, the YouTuber stuff of the what's going on in YouTube sphere. And there's always something going on in the YouTube sphere. Let's be honest. Want to talk about that?
Yeah. Okay. So that's my topic. So let's just hop right into it, boys. Let's see. Actually, I was gonna ask, how was everyone's week? I already know how Scribe's was. He was working. How about you, Biggie?
I'm all right. I've been busy. I've been working a lot too, but really making rookie mistakes on YouTube. Like I'll be recording for an hour, a couple hours.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw your video. I was like, ooh, he streamed for 2 hours, and oh, that hurts.
2.5 hours, man, and it was just all down the toilet, and it was depressing, but it's okay.
Yeah, I can understand that. The last LODcast, I forgot to add some things in there with the rendering process, and I didn't see it until like 2 days later when I was like, oh, let's look at the video. How's it doing? And I was like, oh. But yeah, my week was it's been pretty hectic. I've been attempting to like working out like into my schedule, and it's impossible given how lazy I am until like the last second of things. So yeah, that's been pretty much mine. But that said, let's move into the first section. So did anyone else notice how, actually, have you guys seen that video? I forgot who made it, but it was on like how like the US differs from like every other country in the world involving how trending works on it.
Yeah, I've seen. I forget who. Some people have done videos.
Yeah. And like basically the deal with it was that in the U.S. the trending page isn't at all like, it's not actual trending. It's curated heavily.
Bought.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Bought.
And so, like for example, PewDiePie. The whole reason, this is actually Koxx that put it in, or HB as he was formerly known, and the reason he put in this topic, which was Pew's trending most of this week, is because like. Before, PewDiePie would hit tens of millions of views a video, but he wouldn't go trending at all in the US, but he'd be like trending in Canada like 300 times a year. And then all of a sudden this week, he's been trending all week with every upload.
From what I understand, for some reason, how the algorithm actually works is if videos of yours have lately been getting higher than normal view count, they put you on trending.
See, that's
how it works in the United States, but it doesn't work in other countries like that.
See, that's the thing though. Like when it makes sense for some videos, but like I think they might have just taken him off the blacklist. Maybe I don't know what happened.
I believe it, especially after all the stuff.
Yeah, like after he ended the whole sub to PewDiePie thing.
Well, not just that, but I got something I want to talk about after a bit here that has to do with that.
And that being said, I did notice on this topic that there's certain things in the YouTube sphere. Like, so I've actually been doing some experimenting. I won't mention the channel since it'll kind of ruin the whole point of the experiment. But I've been doing uploads, and I've been artificially growing that channel. It's just copies of like uploads that I used to do in the past, so it's not anything new. And I've been attempting to grow it artificially and see how it works with like. Because I'm wondering about my own channel right now, and that things like, for example, my sub rate is the same. Like I still gain subscribers at the same rate, but my views and my watch time's actually gone higher, but my views have like completely dropped. And so I'm like, maybe there's an artificial way of how this works. And so I've been like strategically liking videos on that alternate channel and like boosting it. Like I've even gone out of my way to make like the other accounts seem legit by having them watch other videos when I'm not actually doing anything. And from what I've seen, it seems like, once again, this is a really small sample size. I only have like 50 channels to do this with, so
only 50 channels.
Only 50 channels, but it seems that consistently increasing your view count. So like what I did with originally was the first video I'd throw 4 views on with 4 different channels. And then the video after,
Okay.
I throw on like 5, and then 6, and then 7 every next video. And I would do daily uploads with this because I have enough back content to do that. And what I've seen is that growth, it's almost like normally how you'll see it on like, I'm assuming it's the same for Big E's channel, where it's like your growth is, it's not quite, it's like, what's type of hyperbola where it's like, it goes up and then just levels off like a plateau? Like,
Peaks.
yeah, it's, so basically that's what ours is
I
all
would
like.
call it plateauing. Yeah, mine like will go up and then plateau for a
Yeah,
bit.
that's
and then go
that's
up,
what that's what
plateau.
mine does too. It like plateaus. It still goes up a little, but it still keeps plateauing.
Yeah, I kind
It's-
of like cycle.
No, I see what you're saying.
In
Yeah.
between plateauing for me, it like cycles between like 1 or 2, 3, 4 subscribers. We'll go up or so, and then down, then up, and then like between those, and then I'll like gain a bunch, and then same way.
Yeah. So that's what happens with me. And so what I tried doing, and what I saw was that it doesn't plateau at all, as long as you consistently get more views, and it doesn't matter how many extra views you get, as long as it's a little more than what you previously had. And so I've come to the conclusion that it's fucking impossible to do it when you're larger.
That makes sense. If you think about it, the bigger you are, the harder it is to.
Consistent growth is impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
I still have growth. I'm pretty sure Biggie definitely still has growth, but it's cyclical, very, very cyclical, and it's not as hyperbolic as I'd like it to be. But yeah,
Consistent. Yeah, I would like to be more consistent, but not. I'm not. Doesn't surprise me. The YouTube sphere is very political. It's more political than I would like it to be, but it is what it is.
yeah, but
Yeah.
those are my findings. Maybe.
Scribe, this is what you get to look forward to. Wait, welcome to the YouTube sphere.
Yeah, when you hop on, you'll realize how bad it gets at some point. Like I hit 1069 subs, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, 1069. That's a nice number. I'm gonna make a meme about that. And then the next day it's 1066, and I'm like, I can't tell people about this.
See,
Yeah.
part of me like really feels bad though for really small channels, like even smaller than mine. I have a very small channel, like there's no doubt about that. And even you, HB, to an extent, you have a smaller channel.
Mhm.
But like people like Koo, who just sit there who have like 300-400, it's like because they make very good content. Yeah, at the same time, I feel like they get the shaft because
There's no
sometimes.
consistency.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I fully understand like why they'd want consistency, because YouTube wants to be the new TV, but I guess it's hard to keep up. I'm pretty sure Koo probably has a real life job, and I don't know his age, but he seems like he's extremely busy. He's not like me or you, who are like literally on the grind 24/7 on this.
Well, I mean, I talked about it with someone else earlier. It might have been you. You were asking like, no, it was not you. It was someone else asking like, you could take a break. They were telling me I could take a break, and I was like, oh, I know I could take a break. And they're like, well, why don't you? And it was like, I mean, regardless, I'm playing video games whether I like.
Yeah. Oh, I think it might have been Shadow on your Discord.
Whether I record
Yeah.
it or not, I'm playing games. So I mean, yeah, might as well record it and have some fun doing it.
For real.
So yeah, I think we've if that's everything everyone wanted to say on that, we can move on to a little bit more of a serious topic, but I don't think we're gonna stay on it for long. So a
One
stream,
dead horse to another.
yeah, really,
Oh, wait.
really, oh jeez,
Yeah, that was a bit extreme.
yeah.
All right, all right, man. Like,
Yeah, so what we're going to be talking about is, so recently, I think has it been nearly a week now, I think?
less than. It happened earlier in the week.
So a streamer and a YouTuber by the name of Etika, recently, committed game ending. I don't want to use the word because they'll demonetize us. But, so there's a lot of stuff around it, and what I wanted to focus on was the really scummy way that some people, like, responded to it. So, you guys...
Man, if anyone's in my Discord chat,
Yeah.
you know the small little thing that happened there, part of it. But like, because like I was actually sleeping for most of it, and then I was out to eat with my grandparents actually when the second bit happened, and I was luckily I have fantastic moderators. I want to say take a moment and say thank you to all of them, because they really actually like came in really clutch when I needed them to. But yeah, someone was just, whole thing got kind of scummy in mine. It was like one of the person responsible was just like, yeah, so what? He killed himself. It's a coward's way out. And I'm like, Really?
Yeah,
That's not
you don't
a great way to respond to that.
If you knew the guy's journey, you'll realize he's had. It's not as though it was like, oh, I'm just gonna kill myself. He probably had a lot of reasons, and when you're in that state of mind, you don't really.
And that's the one thing I pointed out. I was like, hey man, like he's not here to defend himself. Like that's not really cool. Just hop on like the hate wagon there, and I was like, it's not fair to him. It's not fair to like anyone else who supported him. It's not cool. And so basically, as quick as I could, but I mean, then things got real weird.
Yeah. So there's also the really big thing that I noticed, and I think the entire YouTube community went after this guy. Do you know who I'm J Station is?
Heard of him? I've never.
I've heard of him.
He's like this 4 a.m. challenge channel. The guy like has no skills outside of being a 4 a.m. challenge guy. Like he's literally the bottom of the barrel when it comes to YouTube content. And literally a day after Etika committed suicide, he made a video saying, I contact Etika via... It was like something like, I contact Etika via like a Ouija board or some shit. I don't remember the video. I haven't seen it. And then it was like a clickbait. And he's like, hi, you guys thought I'd clickbait to make money off it? Guess what? I'm donating like $2,000 to Etika's family or something. It was like it was actually a really relatively small amount. And he got hella criticized because, and I think this is fair, because he decided to say that, well, it was basically that he clickbaited on it, and that the amount of money he made from that video just by itself is well over $2,500. Literally every YouTuber out there was like, this guy's scummy as all hell. He's done videos on people dying immediately after they died. And it's like these extremely cringy, like really disrespectful videos about the people after they die. And it's like, oh, I contact them via like seance or some shit. I'm like, come on, man, you can't do that. That's not in good taste at all. Like you don't just like, I can understand like soulless entities like corporations doing that to like a singer, but you're a YouTuber, you're a human being.
Shout out at EA for that one. I guarantee. I'm only saying that right now is I'm uploading a Battlefront 2 video and I know it's going to get demonetized. Correction, it's going to get monetized in favor of EA and saying I'm copywriting.
Yeah, whenever that's the thing. Like, since we're kind of on the topic of monetization and scummy people, every time like I'll be on like the options thing for my YouTube, and I'll be like, oh, this video probably won't get striked for copyright, so I'll like monetize it. Like that's an automatic thing. I'm like, I'll make like 2 cents off of it. Most of the time, an ad won't play. It goes up, and then I can't turn off monetization because it's copyright striked. And I'm like, I don't want them to make money. I can't not copyright strike it now.
I will get really, really fucking petty at this point, and I'll actually go in and I'll mute it. I'll quiet it down. I'll do anything in my power just so like I don't do it. I'm like, you guys don't need the extra 7 cents you get from my ad revenue from the videos. Get out of here. Like, it's just get out of here.
Like, you don't need this.
Clearly don't need it. But anyway, EA.
Yeah, so if anyone has anything else to say about mental health in YouTube, because I kind of still do.
I do too, like to an extent. I think you and I have talked about this to an extent, Kuyo. Like because we both in a way share the same kind of issues in terms of like our own mental health. Very common among YouTubers, and it's if you need help or you need someone to talk to, like please go talk to someone. It's an issue. Don't act like it's like it's only just me. It's fine. I'll be whatever. It's like it is a very real issue, and talking about it helps way more than you would ever think.
Yeah.
And on that note, you guys remember who the Nth Apple was, right?
Oh, I have no idea who it is.
Okay, so basically he was you know how Oxhorn makes his videos?
Yeah.
Where he'll go through, do like
then
kind of
started an Oxhorn.
He did like a lore play, right? And so
yeah,
he wasn't the guy to start it. It was actually the Nth Apple. And the Nth Apple, he would go through, he was a Fallout YouTuber originally. He also did a bit of Skyrim lore too. But he would go to these locations, he'd like take an extremely deep dive into the lore, he'd like look around, look at details, say, hey, this is probably what happened. This is what we can infer. But then, at some point, Oxhorn, who before this was just making like whatever he was making. He wasn't doing lore at all. But he decided all of a sudden when he came on that he was gonna copy the Nth Apple style. And so the difference was between the two that the Nth Apple had a day job. He actually had responsibilities. But Oxhorn, I'm pretty sure, has been unemployed for like the last 20 years. And this guy was capable of pumping out the same videos, including titles, which is what's really scummy. Like, he would, like, and the Nth Apple used to call his videos The Legend of Blank when he would go over them. And then Oxhorn started doing the same thing. The Legend of, like, Harper's Ferry or something like that. And what ended up happening is that the Nth Apple, and I feel this personally too, because this kind of happened to me a lot. He started losing, like, passion for it simply because he's like, I put in so much more time than this guy. I kind of made this thing. Like, I popularized it. And now he's pumping out the same videos, almost exactly like mine. But the only advantage he has over me is that he's able to pump them out more consistently. And so, I'm pretty sure a lot of YouTubers kind of experience this when their growth stagnates, because I definitely do. And that's that when you're working really, really hard, like, I'm on the grind 24/7. I don't even mean that as a joke. Like, I'll be awake until like 7 a.m. just trying to work on videos. But at some point, when you start seeing people, because this is what happened to the Nth Apple, and I really relate to it. He made a video. He's like, I don't feel that me doing this is really worth it anymore. Because what do I add to the picture anymore? Like, there's clearly people out there who are more interested in Oxford stuff simply because he can do the same thing I can, but with more consistency. So either you guys will see a video of mine in the coming days, or you won't. And like, it was really emotional in how he said it, and he never came back 2 years later. And it's kind of tough to watch, because I mean, I'd say it, but I've talked to some extent with like some of you guys with it. But like when for example, Lady of Scrolls came onto the scene, because obviously I don't mean to like insult her or her content, but seeing someone do the same thing you can, actually not even to the same extent, and then them suddenly growing way beyond you, it's really disheartening. I personally, like, it just really, it hurts to watch. Like, where you have all this, like, effort behind you, and then it just gets chopped off by someone who doesn't care nearly as much as you do. So thoughts? Sorry about that long ass, like, rant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fill up space. We got an hour to do this.
Yeah, I got nothing else on that. But I understand what you're saying now. You put so much effort into stuff, and you feel like you should be getting rewarded more, but you don't.
Yeah, and that's where it kind of circles back around to the mental health thing. I don't know how it was with Etika, but
that stuff causes depression.
Yeah,
because you're not getting the reward for working as you normally would.
Yeah, but still, just like Biggie said, I'll reiterate a little. If you really have problems, it really helps to talk to people. Even if they can't relate as well, it's extremely important, and like I encourage it heavily. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, just try and get it off your mind. If they hate you afterwards, so what? You got it off your mind. But typically, just go to a friend.
Nothing wrong with seeing a therapist or psychiatrist.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, it's extremely important. If you have problems, go to a specialist if you have to. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't live in 1840 or in a third world country. Even if you are in a third world country, don't be afraid. I know there's a lot of stigma around it. I know there is like for my brother and I, where we come from at least, because my parents at least are very stigmatic about it, but it's very important, and you should get help if you need it, and it's not a bad thing. Yeah, so okay, that said, let's move on to the next topic. Did you write this one down, Scribe?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so get talking about it, Chief.
Well, if you guys have heard, there was leaked emails from Google talking about how to protest the president, and a video leaked this is all by the same company called Project Veritas. If you guys don't know who they are,
I've heard about that. I don't know what they do, but I've heard the name.
They ran by a guy named, I think, George O'Keefe. He is a well-known conservative, but his reporting on Project Veritas has been pretty consistent. And there's good evidence to show with what he released with Google is real and true. And it shows that Google purposely blacklisting people for their political beliefs. I don't think that's right. And the internet's kind of having a huge fit over it, because that means that if Google just doesn't like you, they can just basically get rid of you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Even if people like you.
Yeah, that remember when we were talking about what happened to Alex Jones a few podcasts ago?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's kind of scary now. Like, I get it, Google's a privately owned platform, but like, do you really have to...
It's happening to not crazy people. That's the thing. It's happening to people who don't have crazy ideas.
There's obviously reasons that there's like extremes on each side, and that's simply because that's human nature. Like, we're a tribal species. We like in-groups and out-groups. But like, I think it was my my professor in my political science course that I took last semester was like, the ideal way of making sure you don't live in an echo chamber is to surround yourself by people with extremely different opinions to yours. Like, everyone ultimately, at least statistically, goes towards the middle, and anything that prevents that is essentially bad for democracy, or at least our democracy.
Yeah.
And so I think by doing this, they're kind of it's not good. Like, I know there's a reason terms like Black Twitter exist. Like, I don't know the only one I've heard about is that, but like, that's an in-group, and by isolating yourself and just continuously telling yourself certain things, you're preventing yourself from integrating into societies. I think, personally at least, that like my brother and I, we're obviously we're not white, and we're not from like, well, we're not ethnically white, and we've kind of been like raised in this completely white society, or at least where we live, it's completely white. In short, I think integration into society has a lot to do with just like being around other people, and I think that is the case. It's like cultures can be wildly different, but the longer you're around people, the more you start accepting them.
Oh yeah. That's why America in the past has always been amazing amongst immigration across the world, because we were able to integrate people within a generation, and that's unheard of in other cultures.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think, especially in like countries like Japan, because I hear horror stories about Japan all the time, where it's like they're so xenophobic that they'll like forcibly, like, kids who go into certain schools, there's like rules and even like actual province laws that prevent people from having different colored hair. Like, they require you, unless you get like a doctor's note, to dye your hair black. And I'm like,
yep.
What? That isn't that that's xenophobia times like 10.
Well, that's all old school laws that they implemented back probably 1920s ish. They're in the fall of the Shogun, and they wanted to unite all the different cultures across Japan. So what they did was just delete them.
Yeah, uniformity.
They unified. They figured out what. They asked the question, what does it mean to be Japanese? And that's what happened there. And it's not too dissimilar from what happened in our past, but
I think a really ideal way of how we got around it had to do with, like, simply because everyone was fleeing Europe at the time, and what are you supposed to... You can't make an ideal American when there's a million different types of Americans all of a sudden.
And majority of your population speaks German, Italian...
Yeah.
And something, and whatever else, the other European language.
But
English, I'm kidding.
And then circling back to like all that stuff with Google, like, do you guys really have to push diversity so hard? Like, come on, just let it happen itself. I know it's
well, it's just like you're being diverse, but you're being diverse in what the person looks like, not what the person's thoughts are.
Yeah.
Which is what everyone's problem is that everyone who's anti-SJW, like myself, has an issue with those people not pushing diversity of thought, which is what's most important.
See, I'm of the belief, and I know a lot of people don't agree, but that, like I've kind of already hinted a lot, or at least mentioned a bit right now, that diversity needs to happen itself, and it's gonna happen. It's already happened to an extent. Like, I know there's heavy pushes, and like just like with the civil rights movement, some pushes are needed. But then when it comes to times, and especially this age, where it's so easy to isolate yourself, doing things like that is not the way to move forward.
Nope.
The internet has given us an unprecedented amount of like interaction with people. For example, you were telling me a while back. Well, what was it? Was it Jay, the guy you're going to do the podcast with?
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, he's not even white, and yet this entire time I thought he was a British white guy.
Oh yeah, I know.
Exactly. Like I don't know what these people are like on the other side. So the fact that we can agree on things, we can not agree on things, that's ideal.
Well, I didn't know you and Talks were not white, and I didn't care. It just doesn't matter to me. Like it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't care. I just like talking to people.
It's great, and yeah, those are my thoughts in general on that.
Yeah, same here, dude.
Anything to add, Biggie? Chief?
Just like to have a good group of friends, you know.
It'll come naturally. It's not something you can force on people. You force on people, that's when you see the heavy resistance. That's when you see people push back, because people do forget that it's kind of basic human instinct. When if I walked up to you in real life, Kuyo, just walked right up to you, or you, Scribe, and just pushed you to the ground and said, you need to think this way, chances are you're going to get up and push me back and say, why? Like, why should I have to? It's just that simple. You can't force somebody. Hey, you could like, kind of like what you said, you could kind of like show them, be like, hey, look, this is the right way. So you kind of think about this. You know, you never took this into consideration, and people can go, okay, I'm learning more about this in a way that's not going to make me feel like not only an utter piece of shit, but like in a way I could also be accepted into society.
Well, did you guys hear about that gay guy he was like, what was he? He was Vietnamese or whatever, American, and he was being harassed by Antifa, and they beat the crap out of him yesterday, and now he's in the hospital with a brain hemorrhage. They threw a milkshake at him with caustic concrete.
Jesus Christ!
I was thinking, yeah, like, what kind of milkshake you think that's going to be like, give a brain damage here? Jesus!
It had caustic, acidic concrete in it that would burn your skin. And they just beat the living crap out of him. I don't really know why. I don't know why they would do that. It doesn't make much sense, because Antifa tends to always say that they stand for this, for like LGBTQ people. But like, dude, it's Pride Month, and you attacked a gay guy and gave him a brain hemorrage. First of all, you're not hearing much about it. But I just read an article as you guys were talking, that now everyone's talking about it across the everything. CNN, MSNBC is now talking about it, and the guy has raised. Someone put out a private GoFundMe, and they raised over 10K already, or 100K already for him.
See, that also has a lot to do with how Antifa structured. I think it was also Black Lives Matter that was structured like this, but they're structured from the bottom up. Meaning that each and every chapter of those groups is basically their own like leader. They don't have any. They have similar goals as the top, but they don't have a head. They don't have anything that can like. So
decentralized.
Idiots like this will pop up, give them a bad name, and then go away. And
yeah,
I never like vilifying things. I hate that because.
Well, the group that attacked him is one of the branded groups that sells T-shirts and merchandise and stuff.
Jeez, yeah. They're just giving, like, there's obviously good intentions behind it, but you're just giving them bad names. Like, everything's just a shade of gray, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you guys are interested in looking up or hearing about it, I highly recommend going over to Tim Pole's channel. He's doing excellent coverage of the situation right now. He's pretty non-biased in his coverage of it.
Yeah, well, okay, if that's all we have to say about this section, we can move on to the soon-to-be phased-out section, lore.
Yeah.
Scribe, you want to take over?
Sure. Well, today's lore thing, there's only one topic. we are going to talk about cyborgs and machines in the Elder Scrolls. And if anyone says that they are non-existent and they're lore breaking, thank you, Numidium. There we go. Or just walk yourself into a Dwemer ruin, and you'll be just walking your way through, and there'll be robots attacking you every 5 minutes.
Yeah, but okay, so this is my topic, so I'm sorry guys, I'm talking a lot today, but...
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's a specific reason you brought it up.
But yeah, so I recently made a video about Kinmune, so TLDW on that Kinmune video. Kinmune is basically an AI from Michael Kirkbride's crazy fanfic future that goes into the past and is like a robot, but what I really wanted to talk about was like specifically Palinor Whitestreak, and if he really is a cyborg from the future, which after reading Kinmune, which is the most whack thing I've read in my life, I'm kind of starting to believe. So the thing with
Too much. Shut him up.
the thing with Kinmune is that like it makes a lot of connections that in our current understanding of the lore fits, and the only outrageous stuff is the Ninth Era part where it's like super future Elder Scrolls with cyberpunk shit and AIs and weird trippy art, which is really cool looking, but that's the only weird part. But outside of that, when Kinmune gets sent to the past, which I don't know how an AI can suddenly become a she, but that's what happens in Michael Kirkbride's crazy head, but she fills in like all the holes in some of the plot, like why exactly the Eye of Magnus ended up in Sarthal. Apparently, it's a prison. It was a prison for Kinmune, and it was actually made by the Dwemer, apparently. But obviously, Skyrim retconned I almost said shut some stuff. I wasn't trying to say shit, but Skyrim retconned some stuff, and it's
Freudian slip there.
Yeah, honestly, but it still kind of fits. Like certain things still make sense, and that's what led me to thinking about Palinor, and maybe connecting that. Maybe, just maybe, if Todd, our god, blesses us with more coda in the future, which they've been doing throughout the games as time has gone on, because honestly, they don't have a writer. They're just gonna take larger plot threads from MK's unused work that he left behind.
If we ever get another game.
if we ever get another game. Speaking of
that's
which,
why we've never gotten another game.
Yeah, they just don't have ideas at this point. They're like, shit, guys.
They ran dry.
We fired our only writer. What are we gonna do now? We have this Emil guy, but he doesn't know how to write. Oh my, what are we gonna do, guys? I have an idea. We just use stuff that's not done. We just like reuse MK's work. It's crazy, but it'll work.
Fun fact. Well, I should say plot twist. The trailer we've seen for Elder Scrolls 6 was just Skyrim again, but in the desert.
In Skyrim, they retextured all the rocks to be like kind of like desert rocks, and they made like all the snow into ash or like desert storms and all that. There it is, guys. All the work was put into that. We have a new lighting engine, a new renderer. We got Skyrim Grandma in there. You're welcome, guys. It's complete. We just we replaced Olivia the Feeble with Skyrim Grandma. But back on Palinor, so I was reading about it, and I was like, wait a minute, Palinor's he got his head chopped off. You know what kind of happened too? Kinmune got like completely destroyed, and she survived. So maybe there's a coda reason as to why it worked. But yeah, me trying to make connections, it's not fully baked. I just wanted to talk about it for a bit. Hence the name of my channel, HBProductions. If you guys were ever wondering what the HB stood for.
You are half-baked. I'm sorry, I had the opportunity, I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I think... Anyone want to mention anything about lore before we move on?
Nah. I've been lured out of Elder Scrolls ever since E3, so...
Hell yeah, Chief.
I mean, other than like the topics I've been just kind of covering, like... I've just been really disappointed with Elder Scrolls lately.
Mm-hmm. Completely understandable. I try so hard to move the channel away from Elder Scrolls, but it keeps coming back.
Gotta go back to your roots.
Yeah, someday I'll be able to break free of these chains and ascend to other game godhood. But until then, we can go on to the next section. Big E.
All right, so this is going to be the part where we basically talk about just things we kind of want to talk about. That's generally typically news that's been going on lately, or things we find curious that we find on our own. And I'll start with my subject because oh man. So EA recently, and I kind of keep close tabs on EA. I don't know why, but I do.
You gotta catch them for any sort of crimes they commit.
Well, I guess it's
Fun
because
fact, they're also keeping tabs on you.
The best part about this is that 4 of our 7 LODcasts, including this one, have always had EA in them somehow.
That's because they're always making news. There's like not a single part that just doesn't always.
We've talked about EA for more hours than we talked about
lore. It's usually not
lore.
good news. That's the thing.
And so I like to keep tabs on them because they make a lot of games that I enjoy, or used to at least. There's not many anymore. Basically, a big game that I love still. I'm going to continue to promote Battlefront 2. It's a great game. I recommend it. But not about that. Well, sort of about that. It's, So EA recently came out and said they're not loot boxes. They're surprise mechanics. And outraged everybody who's a gamer or just any way knows about the situation has basically outraged them. And let me tell you, if you guys haven't been to the history memes Reddit page, oh boy, I recommend it because it is a bit harsh on what they have to say. They are not happy, to say the least, and I don't think anyone else is really happy, to be honest, about this whole situation. It's sparked up more debate on what the future of loot boxes are in our society, because I don't think they're anywhere near going away.
Yeah, that's the thing. So a little bit more background to that. So basically, EA, some representative, or they were called over to was it Ireland? I think to a hearing from Ireland's government, and they're
that would be Belgium.
Oh, okay. So they were called over to Belgium's government and to answer about their crimes involving loot boxes. And they're like, the guy asked, "Do you think loot boxes are moral?" And the lady doesn't even answer the question. She just says, "We don't like calling them loot boxes. We like calling them surprise mechanics." And he's like, "I don't care what you call them. Do you think they're ethical?" And she just rounds her way around that. I'm 90% sure this woman did not think they were ethical in the slightest. And she was just trying to dance around this.
Yeah, and they proceeded to ban them after that. Which,
did they really?
If you live in Belgium, yeah.
Oh my god!
If you play FIFA, if you play FIFA in Belgium, the game is completely different in Belgium than it is in the rest of Europe.
Oh, that's
Because
crazy.
They literally just took the loot boxes out of the game. They didn't fix the game mechanics around it. They just took the loot boxes out.
Well, obviously, what do you mean fixing it? That's not EA style.
I know.
Yeah.
So people in Belgium only got half. That was about FIFA, by the way, and they only got half a FIFA game.
Jeez, I think about more class action lawsuits after that. You paid for a full game, you get half of it because the developers are too lazy to. Well, not developers, but the company's too lazy to try and rework it.
Typically, I never blame a developer for any of the shit. Sometimes they are responsible, but at the same time, it's usually
the publishers.
With the publisher, because the publisher sees the fact that, well, they did it and they're making billions of dollars. Why aren't we doing it?
Bethesda.
Oh my, poor Bethesda, how you fallen. We used to idolize Bethesda, and now we just kind of
stand up for all their mistakes, and then they had to release that armor for Oblivion. That's when it started to go downhill.
Yeah, the thing is,
armor.
The thing about horse armors, Bethesda was actually the first. I remember seeing this in a documentary. They were the first ever major game publisher to introduce microtransactions that gave that little content.
Yeah, that little content. The first ones to introduce microtransaction was Microsoft. I forget what game it was though.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
this is the reason this all happened, and that kind of brings me to my point, where I personally think that loot boxes are gambling, because it might have been you, Scribe, who was talking about it, or it was a YouTuber I watched, And I think it was Upper Echelon Gaming. He's like a news channel. Hate the guy's guts, but I like watching the news. But he was talking about how like the argument that EA had around this entire loot box thing was that they thought it was a lot more about like, oh, we tell people the chances, but guess what? There's also gambling stuff where like, was it roulette? Yeah, I think it was roulette that he used the example as, but
Yeah, I think so.
And
that's an older video.
Yeah, it's kind of old now, but he was talking about how roulette was. They tell you the chances. I think it's like I don't know, it's the exact size of a roulette wheel. I think
that is about your chances in the basic of terms are 48, 48, 2.
Yeah, so they tell you your chances. So you can't use telling people the chances of what they'll get as an excuse for it not being gambling, because they're still spending money on something they can't guarantee.
Yeah, that's just gambling without
It's
lying.
different from microtransactions, where in microtransactions, you know what you're getting. You're like, I want that cosmetic, I'm going to pay however many crazy amount of unfair monies it's going to cost to get that. But with loot boxes, you don't know. And when they say, let the industry govern loot boxes, that's the one time I'll say no, because it's better when industries like do their own forms of governing and like decide that they're not gonna like let government get in and like mess around with them. Like I forgot the example, but there's been a few times where it's a bad idea for the government to get into certain industries because they'll just fuck them up, and competition won't actually drive things.
I think there's a line when the government needs to step in and do something, and I think loot boxes is one of them.
Hell yeah!
Especially whenever you're preying on people under the age of 18.
See, people make so many excuses about that. Like, oh, there's policies around that. Kids don't have to pay. Just don't put your credit card in.
I'm a libertarian. I'm a libertarian, and if I tell you the government needs to get involved in something, what's that tell you? I think that's pretty bad.
But like, you can't. It's a kid. Like, if a kid accidentally buys 1 million loot boxes and your company doesn't have a policy to return the money, that kid probably developed a gambling addiction in the process, and you just lost a bunch of money. So come on, bro.
Start them young. You know what they say about smokers? Start them young.
Yeah, it's like there's someone I was having an argument about this on Discord, and they're like all in favor of like loot boxes and saying, so what? It's not my problem.
Who's in favor of loot boxes?
They're like, as long as
what kind of psychopath are you?
I forgot the guy's name, but I was like really heated. I was like, you're really supporting loot boxes? Are you mentally insane? It's like the one time I've actually gotten heated on Discord, and I was like, if I could strangle you, man, I would strangle you. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Please, YouTube, don't arrest me.
For legal reasons.
But like, he was arguing that the whole point of it was that it supports the developer, but the developers, if you've seen the horror stories,
buying skins.
Yeah, if you saw the horror stories of how developers are treated in certain companies, I don't think it supports the developers. It supports the corporate people's wallets.
Crunch time. Although sometimes crunch time is needed, and I fully understand the purpose of that. But other times it's just
honestly though,
disgusting.
From just my YouTube experience and editing, I can understand why crunch time exists because I have my own crunch, like right after this podcast. But I could avoid all this crunch if only I was better at timing.
Well, it happens because people call off, errors happen, and you have. Whenever you're shipping a product to the public, that release date is everything. Because that's whenever your investors decide how much money they're going to give you and so forth. And that's why it exists. I work for a company that does contracts. I'm not going to say with who, but we are currently finishing up one up, and we are working extra overtime to push that stuff out the door real fast. In fact, most of it's done. We're just waiting for the customer to come pick it up. You know, and we have so much other stuff done, we have to keep it outside the building, and we have to have someone sit there and watch guard on it until the person comes and picks it up in 3 weeks, which is just ridiculous, you know? It's like, that was a miracle, by the way, because we are currently underemployed, and we still managed to get all that stuff out on time, but we had to work so much overtime to get it out, if that makes sense.
I completely understand that, and that actually kind of allows me to transition if no one else anything else to say on this.
Go ahead, we pretty much bled this dry.
Okay, another dead horse. One day we'll rename the podcast. Someday.
We need to start keeping track because we could start our glue factory.
But in the case of Crunch and all that, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Have you guys seen the stuff around that?
Not too much. I haven't paid
The
attention
criticism?
to Pokemon.
Yeah,
But-
I've okay. So basically, to sum it up, since Biggie doesn't know, and I'm pretty sure the audience doesn't know, but Pokemon Sword and Shield is looking to be the most disappointing Pokemon game to date because not only have they cut out the national Pokemon decks, so you're only going to have like 120 Pokemon in this region, but if you look at the game itself and all the stuff they've been showing off, it is the most unimpressive game, both graphically and gameplay-wise, that I think Game Freak has ever produced.
No, I will say I did notice where like people were talking about like Pokemon being like the size of freaking Mount Everest, and you're like tiny as all hell.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the thing the new mechanic they introduced, which honestly just looks like a gimmick. I think it is a gimmick. It's definitely a gimmick, but I'm kind of just disappointed. It looks like this is a tech demo more than an actual game. Like I get that,
and it's very glitchy.
yeah, I get that they're switching platforms, but you guys are you'll make money no matter what on this game. So can you guys at
Oh
least?
yeah, with all of the Pokemon diehard fans out there, which I know way too many of, they're going to buy the crap out of it.
I actually really do like Pokemon. The only issue is I don't have any new Nintendo stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I don't have any new
like,
Nintendo stuff. I used to buy
What?
every game on my DS, and but I don't have any of the new stuff.
Yeah.
My fiance is one of those, and she's disappointed because it's the same game again, and I'm disappointed because I'm like, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. In fact, my first game was Pearl, and
Oh
I
hell
grew
yeah,
up,
man! I
I
loved
grew
Pearl.
up really not liking the anime as a kid.
See, I actually started with God, it was old. It was real
Well,
old.
I started with Gold actually. I was just gonna put that aside, and then I got
Let's see,
Pearl like a
I
year
started
later.
with Gold, and then I went into Red. I had Fire Red, and then I got Sapphire and Ruby, then Diamond and Pearl. Even
Hell
too.
yeah, man! And then everything stopped because you couldn't upgrade your system. That's what
Yeah.
happened to me. I was like, I have a Wii that can probably last me for a few years, and then I switched over to Xbox, and that's where the whole Skyrim thing started. But yep, Pokemon Sword and Shield just very disappointing for me. And
Yeah, have you seen the mods people have been making to Breath of the Wild with Pokemon characters in it instead?
Breath
They
of the
look
Wild.
phenomenal. It looks beautiful.
I have like ultra modded. I play Breath of the Wild on my computer. Like I have the Cemu emulator, and I have like
Mhm.
ultra modded. I have Shrek, Lionels. I have like I've messed it up a lot, and it looks pretty good. But it's also the most unimmersive game you'll ever play in your life. But yeah, if anyone else has anything to say on that, we can move on to the
Alright.
lightning round.
I'm good.
That out of the way, now that we've finished with this podcast, which I'll be honest was the most well-timed podcast to date.
Yeah, we did pretty well.
Yeah, but I think it was
Yours did
mostly
damn good.
it was probably out of extreme amounts of time constriction that we did so well. But let's get to the lightning round, the round that everyone loves and everyone listens to. You know the spiel, this spiel, whatever. You know what I say. But first question: what's your least favorite game?
Oh man, that I played.
Ooh,
Oh man, this is actually going to be relatively new, and I might actually receive some flack for this. Oh man, I know I'll receive some flack for this. Wolfenstein 2.
Oof. Yeah.
it's not the worst. I played a lot worse.
Actually, correction. That's probably the most disappointing game I played.
Yes,
Um,
that's a better description. I think.
Yeah, I think
Disappointing.
I don't really have a least favorite game. I think
No, I do have one. Bound by Flame. Oh man, Bound by Flame was a tough one. They sold it as like a brand new next gen RPG that's gonna be just as good as Skyrim, and then my like 17-year-old ass, hell yeah, buys it. And it's like, this is terrible. What the fuck?
yeah.
Can I just say, like, every video game my fiance has on her computer that is of anime origin?
Sounds like a good one to me. I'll be honest with you. Almost okay. It kind of on the anime games. They're all either fighting games or dating sims. That from what I've seen.
Eating
Have you ever
simulators?
played
Yeah, they're
Honey
all.
Pop?
I've heard of Honey Pot though.
Everyone's heard of it.
I remember I opened up my lady's laptop and I saw that on there and I just looked at her. I'm like, "Are you serious right now? Are you serious? You have this on your laptop? Get it off. This thing is poisonous.
Right now,
I will not
before,
have this in this
before your
house.
mind is corrupted.
I will not have this in this house."
I don't really have like a least favorite game. I just think the most disappointing game for me was Apex Legends. I played that for a bit. It was my first battle royale ever. It felt great.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually do kind of like Apex to an extent. If I'm gonna play any
Same.
battle royale game, it's gonna be Apex because I really do like the Titanfall universe.
It's the gunplay is amazing. Literally, it feels great, but it just got really stale really quick.
They have really failed on updating like anything. They just literally haven't done shit.
Yeah, you guys literally get a success that's poised to beat Fortnite, and you just drop the ball. But yeah,
I honestly think they didn't expect it to do this well, so I'm not hating them too much.
Yeah, it might have just been a side project.
EA was kind of very hands off on it, so they probably were like, we'll give you a little bit, not a lot here though.
I've said it before, I said it 100 times. You give them the EA dollars without the EA corporate hands all over it, they will make a good product every time.
And speaking
They'll
of which,
make money every time.
That was our next question. Do you guys hate EA? And it was a rhetorical question because I'm pretty sure we all hate EA to an extent, depending on what they make. Their games can be fun.
I haven't bought a Madden since 2013.
Why would you ever buy Madden? No, it's the same game every year.
Since 2016.
I buy NHL every year.
And that hurts.
So, I mean,
that hurts me where I can't buy NHL because EA to me is just, are you serious?
No, to be honest though, NHL 19 not that good to be honest. Kind of overrated.
I know. That's why it was on sale for $10.
That's why it's free on Xbox One for the month of.
Oh, I know. I downloaded it and played it the other day, and I'm like, this is.
It's like they tried to make it so realistic to the point where it's like really rough.
Yeah.
I guess in a tidbit, you could choose whether or not to add this in, Kuyo. Did you hear like Google? There's like a poll, and like nobody wants Google Stadia. Like,
Wait, really?
There was a massive poll, and like nobody wants it.
Oh, I might have actually voted in that. Was it on Reddit?
Might have been.
Oh my! I might have voted.
It was the Reddit one. I voted in the Reddit one.
It's like, do you want to play Google Stadia? Hell nah, dog. I want my own hardware.
Yeah, because I took a one on Reddit, one on YouTube, and I was like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I like Stadia as a theory, but
I don't want Google to rule
everything.
I'd rather not have Google's grubby hands all over my games.
Oh, don't worry. They're under investigation by the federal government right now for antitrust laws, and it's not looking so good. Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and Apple aren't going to be with us much longer.
Okay, that said, we've kind of covered everything, and I'm going to use this to go towards the outro. We all got to sing. You know the Mom Spaghetti meme song that was made from, what was the name that Eminem, name of the song that Eminem did? Knees weak, arms heavy.
Lose yourself?
Yeah, lose yourself. Yeah. Well, okay. So you guys know the Mom Spaghetti version, right? I was just shocked at
the fact that you didn't fucking know that.
Yeah, for real.
Anyways, we gotta sing. We gotta sing it, guys. Let's go. Knees weak, arms heavy. There's vomit on his spaghetti already. Mom Spaghetti. On spaghetti, he looks calm. Spaghetti, drop spaghetti, but he keeps on spaghetti. Where he wrote down the whole crowd went spaghetti. There we go. That's it.
Spaghetti. Now I want some goddamn spaghetti.
Real, I really do want some spaghetti.
Okay, that's this LODcast for this week. Thanks for coming, guys. Whoever listened this far, you're my favorite person in the world. I love you. Yeah. Thank you. Very cool.
I love you too.
I'll make you the owner of the channel if you
don't. Hashtag me too. What?
Oh no, Scribe, not again.
You're making like right. I'll make you the owner of the channel, right? And you're saying that as a joke. Someone's be like, I'm the owner now. He's gonna catapult you.
Just have your brother come back in and be like, I'm back, and it's all mine.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe. There'll be links everywhere. You know how this goes. But thanks for watching. See ya.
Don't get a life.
Later.
Slen tid for Full side of a king Zuul, Korav Mid Nol Dov Duhai.
Try me, and you'll regret it.
You do not even know our tongue, do you? Do you? Do you?
I fought wars more ferocious than you.